some people feel that practice time should be divided up in I don't know, in percentages. I can give you some examples of how Olympic athletes are trained. But a certain percentage of your practice time devoted to the physical aspect of whatever the technique is, the hands on the keys, practice. And then another portion of your practice time devoted to mental practice, hearing it in your mind, hearing it with your imagination, away from the instrument. What do you think about that?
It's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
I don't think the portion where you become aware physically for the musician needs to be very extensive.
Yeah.
I mean, you're holding a bass fiddle with, say, a finger each half step, you know, and so you close the string in half steps and so forth. You get in front of the mirror, you examine this, and naturally you have to bring that into structure. The bow has to be parallel to the bridge and so forth. These should be taken care of and so forth. And these can be done in front of the mirror. It doesn't take a large percentage of time to do it, but it's something that should be done not a great deal at one time, but frequently.
Frequently,
so
during the time,
that it's being restored and referred to quite a number of times. But once the bow moves, then we have to begin to add, so you don't get into habits of mediocrity. So once there's function, then I don't like the just the physical aspect, because at that point, if there's function, I want standards established that you're shooting for. A human brain is easily competent to think of 2 or 3 items at the same time. You know, the genius level should up to 4 to 5 and so forth. But in other words, I would always ensure that any time the bow moves, or if you're singing, that there is this thought, somebody is listening. I usually tell a student at my studio, there's a man outside the door, he's got a $90,000 a year job, and he's listening for a trombone player who can sound just great. That's if I have a trombone player in the chair. And you should hear the difference.
Boy, all of a sudden they perk up, don't they?
Other time I'll just simply say, if you've been to our concerts, have you heard Bud Hurst play this particular phrase? No. I have many important people coming by the studio. Let them think Bud's in this chair here, because I have many first trumpet players that come to see me. And so we use the psychology of motivation a great deal. But the standards go up in the brain, and then immediately the readout begins to improve in tissue function.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. The same thing in singing too. Now I did a little professional singing, but I could have had a full career as a singer when I was young. I was a radio announcer for a while and did quite a bit of work with sound and speech and generally use of the voice. But it was such a fascinating subject, and I was so lousy at it at first because my teachers knew nothing about how to teach me. They really just practically ruined me, because they're handling me like anybody else. And here I'm a tuba player, and when you don't tell a tuba player, singer who plays an instrument line, support your tones and things, and getting me to get more and more physical all the time. Here when I resolve the problems myself by backing everything off and coming down in the scale of efforts, and me just making sure that I didn't use the air, that I had it there. The vocal cords will need it and so forth. But it wasn't hard to figure out once I knew the structures. Then I could have, kept on with it. But these teachers didn't understand that at all.
And they kept trying to make you set more.
This one teacher's tighten your buttocks muscles, tighten this muscle, and more strength.
Support,
My God, I had so much more than could possibly be used, for anything. In other words, I'm using 100 pounds of contraction here when I had needed maybe 6 or 8 ounces of internal pressure
to go.
It's just ridiculous.
Oh my.
I found when I was running in place and jogging, I began to vocalize pretty well. I do deep knee bends and all, boy, I get the high notes, everything was coming out. And it was all relaxed and it was, so I said, the hell with that, you know, and I immediately started to do a lot of investigation and training myself and worked very, very well.
So much more minimal effort
Oh, it wasn't
here.
it was a matter of coming down in the scale of
It really
applied
was.
efforts. And, you know, in muscle physiology, one of the first things you learn is that strength comes from the number of fibers that are being innervated in the motor system. Each fiber will have its maximal contracting power on innervation, and strength or weakness depends on how many fibers are contracted. And obviously, I was working hard, my goodness. And because, again, you know, when you talk to a young man coming in for lessons who doesn't play an instrument like that, and that's one thing, but you get somebody like myself that was already a very successful tuba player and used to hard work.
Yeah.
It just was not a good combination.